we are in a territory, in an environment where everybody has a screen in front of them. The whole game is putting on a show, and everybody likes to watch something, right? What are you giving people to watch? And if they're not watching you, they have the ability to watch something else. So I need to make sure that my show, whatever that show is, whatever it is you do, whatever it is you stand for, however it is you communicate, that needs to be on your screen. Because if not, somebody else is showing what they're doing and they're going to be more drawn to that. So I think that with technology today, and it's so easy to tap into anything from a virtual standpoint and being able to watch something, but you have to take up that marketplace. You have to.
Sean Connor and Mike Schill.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
What season are you guys in right now with the business and life?
We are purely in growth phase, startup phase, putting the right people together. We're still in that position where we're building our true believers. We are pushing out the message that if you believed in us in the beginning, we're going to take you all the way to the top with us.
Yeah.
So everything that we're building is not just for us directly. We are painting to our leaders who want to show up every day, provide value, that, hey, all of this will pay off for you and your family as well. So that's what we're doing. And we're in a lot of figuring it out too. Still learning the language of this industry, learning the pitfalls, learning from other companies that come in and maybe do great and some that don't do so good. So just increasing our self-awareness and figuring out how we get 5% better every day.
Not only that, but coming in with a freaking bang.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to dive into your story because you worked for Grant Cardone for many years. Sean, you built a successful beauty company with your wife. So dude, let's just dive into it. First question for you. After working from Grant Cardone, there's many things you learned. So first of all, and I'm going to follow this up with the second question, but first of all, I want to hear from each of you. What was the top thing you learned working from Grant Cardone?
I think the biggest thing that really stuck with me, Grant came into our office. It's on YouTube if anybody wants to look it up. It's called 5 Steps to Becoming a Millionaire. So I'm working for Grant. I'm on a W-2, making great money, great opportunity. And he came in and did a presentation on the value of money. And he said, hey, if anybody wants to see, and granted, this is pre-COVID. This is mid-2018, so I was on my way out. He did this presentation. He said, a lot of people think you need $1 million. He goes, but the single-digit millionaire is just another broke person worried about money. And so he said, what you really need is 10 million. Now that's pre-COVID. But when I saw that presentation, he broke it down, it checked me out. I was like, I used to watch that video hundreds of times. And I knew that if I got to get to 10 million, I have to build something for myself. And it wasn't.
So he self-sabotaged himself by saying that.
Yeah.
He's like, you're sitting there like he's doing this presentation. You're like, this is great, but I'm not going to make this working for you.
That's the thing. Like, I think if you're working there's some people that have been there 10 years, but I think if you're working there, if you just pick up 20% of what a successful person teaches you, you should be able to wake up and smell the roses.
Yeah.
And and just so you know, I attribute 90% of where I am today to what I learned from him. So it's not like a negative stigma, but I woke up, I'm like, that's the value of money.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about people who buy cars and make their first 20 grand and, it's like, dude, do you know the value of money? And so that really stuck with me. $10 million, you got to be prepared for a medical emergency. One day your family member is going to call you up. Their insurance is lapsed. They're going to need help. You got to be prepared for these big time problems where you're not going to be stressed out about pieces of paper in your pocket that are literally getting devalued by every single day. Like when my son was being born, we're in the beauty company. we had our biggest Black Friday sale ever. I didn't have to be worried about what was going on outside. We have money coming in the bank. I want to be focused on my family. I want to be focused on my team where I'm not worried about, am I going to be able to pay a light bill? So it was an awesome presentation. And I send it out to everybody. Like that was like, all right, I have to step out and do something on my own. And we're helping our clients win big, 15 to 20%. We're helping solar companies, massive food delivery companies, car dealerships. And these people would come in, these business owners who are our clients, we'd meet them in person. I'm like, they're no different than we are. So why can I step out? And I'll finish with this. Todd, who was my sales director, great guy. He's still there. He sat me down. He knew I was completely smoked out. I was so burnt out. And he said, Sean, he goes, I don't understand why you're not producing anymore. He goes, do you believe this is a great opportunity? I said, yes. He goes, do you believe we have the right product? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, do you believe that you can make a lot of money here? And I said, absolutely. He goes, well, what's the problem? And I said, because what if I was meant for something so much more? What if and he goes, well, what if you leave here and you fail? And I said, but what if I stay here and I completely regret not at least trying? And here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. And then that's so true because as you're saying that, I'm thinking, and I remember as a kid of like, oh, he's a millionaire, she's a millionaire, like they're rolling. And then it went from that to, all right, my goal is to make my first $1 million by 25 years old. And then it went from that to realizing that, oh, $1 million ain't that much money in today's day and age with inflation, you know, everything going on, how expensive the cost, especially here in Florida, expensive the cost of living. Got to pay taxes on everything else that comes with that.
Do you remember when you had $1 million in your bank? When you hit that $1 million?
Yes.
What was the first thing on your mind?
It wasn't in my bank, but in assets.
Yeah. So most people, they get $1 million in their bank. They get $1 million in $10. They're like, man, I'm not spending $10. I don't want to go below $1 million. So that's the thing. It starts a new floor for them. Yeah.
Yeah. But it really goes to show, and it goes to show just how blessed we are in this opportunity where, dude, you can go for so much bigger and you can become so much greater than you think that you're honestly worth. And a lot of it's come to reprogramming your mindset and believing. And I was just talking to a new agent where in order to become a $40K a month producer, you have to believe that. In order to produce $100,000 a month, you have to believe that you're worthy of doing that. Same thing with building the business. If you're like, hey, you're never going to surpass the level of success that you believe you're worthy to achieve. So if I only believe that I'm a $100,000 a month producer, well, it's going to be impossible for me to surpass $100,000 a year in income. That's it. Because I'll find a way to subconsciously sabotage myself and cool myself down to the state of being that I think I can become. So really just comes down to mindset and unprogramming yourself in the way, and the self-talk and the way you talk to yourself.
Yep.
Is so, so important. Sean, what's one thing you've learned from Grant Cardone?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way he operates, the way he moves. I was in the trenches for 5 years there. I just saw how you're able to build an organization with brute force, tenacity, willpower, and relentless marketing and advertising. You have to have a massive team. You have to have the cornerstones and pillars within the team. Your marketing department needs to grow every single day, every single year. Like that is number one.
Was
that
his marketing all in-house?
Yes. Yeah. I would probably say about 65 to 70% of the personnel was in-house. Now he did have out-of-house individuals, but it wasn't like
how many
contracted
employees
work.
did he have just on the social media and marketing side?
Brother, in the marketing team, at the end when I was there, probably 25.
That's it. I mean,
yeah.
Because I'm thinking about the operation me and Ryan got going on and everything else, and like I'm just trying to post once a day.
Yeah.
And I see him, bro. He's posting 5, 6, 7 times a day across 5 different platforms, 25 posts per day, putting all this content, short form, long form, and it's full time. Just that in and of itself is a full time job.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you got to understand the quality of personnel that he has on his team will run circles around anybody's business.
Yeah,
one person there, you know, brother, it's on a whole nother level. It's like, yeah, I can have a typical level individual marketing and advertising, or I can have the CMO of Coca-Cola. They're operating at a whole nother level.
Talk to us about the importance of marketing yourself.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Marketing is everything, man. It's listen, we are in a territory, in an environment where everybody has a screen in front of them. We were just talking about it here today. The whole game is putting on a show, and everybody likes to watch something. Right? What are you giving people to watch? And if they're not watching you, they have the ability to watch something else. So I need to make sure that my show, whatever that show is, whatever it is you do, whatever it is you stand for, however it is you communicate, that needs to be on your screen. Because if not, somebody else is showing what they're doing, and they're going to be more drawn to that. So I think that with technology today, and it's so easy to tap into anything from a virtual standpoint and being able to watch something, but you have to take up that marketplace. You have to. That's it.
And all personal branding comes down to is they know who you are, they like you, and they trust you. That's it. That's all a personal brand is. Because when you see somebody think about if we're friends. I know this person, I like this person, and I trust this person.
Right.
That's the economy of a good friendship, and that's the platform for building a large social media presence.
Yes.
And we live in such a competitive day and age where, dude, everybody's saying smart shit.
I know, man.
Like, everybody's saying smart shit.
I know.
So it doesn't even come down to what you're saying. It's more so who you are. And what I mean by that is one of our insurance conventions, David Goggins went up there and spoke.
Okay.
And it was, I remember somebody asked me, they're like, who is your favorite speaker? And I remember thinking about it, and I was like, David Goggins. And speaking skills, he was probably the worst on stage, speaking wise. And it wasn't even necessarily what he said, but it was who he was, which was important.
Yeah.
So creating that personal brand and letting people know beforehand of who you are gives you so much leverage and credibility from when you're actually speaking for people to be attentive. Like, think about if nobody knew who Alex Hormozi was, and you see a dude walk in shorts and a flannel with long hair and a beard, you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then 30 minutes into talking, you're like, okay, I guess he said some cool shit. Took a couple notes, learned some stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, with his personal brand, Hormozi walks in the building, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Everybody's fucking like swarming him, asking him questions, trying to get his autograph, all this different stuff. And that's the power of personal branding.
Listen,
like, for example, Warren Buffett said, don't invest in anything you don't understand. Like, people take that and that's gospel. But think about if your high school teacher said that, don't invest in anything you don't understand. It's like, all right, it's the same advice, but there's the personal brand and there's the credibility behind it.
100%. I was going to say, listen, the personal brand thing is also about a frequency play. I mean, listen, 8 to 12 points of contact to follow with an unsold customer to get them back into an interested category. People think that's just the meet and greet, but you have to do that in the fact finding and the overcoming the objections and setting an appointment and get somebody to close. No one understands sales, right? So personal brand is the sales process. If I have the ability to stay in front of somebody and be in front of them 40 or 50 times, providing them with value, well, then when I meet you face to face, I don't need to question you. So personal brand, that's why the personal brand game, you got to be thinking about the person that's in front of you. It's not about you. It's about the value that you bring to the consumer. And anything that I'm pushing out there, if I can change the life of somebody, even for 1 second, then I create that brand loyalty. Then they keep coming back for more. And then you turn to Alex Hormozi, who walks in the room with a flannel and a ketchup stain on his t-shirt, but worth millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and everydollars
basically
flocking
a
him.
Billionaire at this point.
That's it, man. That's the game, man.
Yeah, he dropped his book, 100 million. He made $100 million within the first week. Of his book, genius marketing play. $100 million marketing. Mike, I had somebody come up to me. I don't want to stay on this topic of personal branding for a second because I had somebody come up to me yesterday at the conference, and they said, "Bro, I've been watching you post for the past 2 years, and I've been trying to build my personal brand." and I've been wanting, not even trying, he said, I've been wanting to and thinking about it for the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I was like, well, why haven't you started? He's like, to be honest, it's the fear of judgment. I'm afraid people are going to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of people, more people than they'd like to admit. Because when you're posting on social media, it's like, there's people that post on there egotistically, but there's also a form of yourself where you have to set your ego aside in order to post on social media, because you're posting a completely vulnerable version of yourself.
Yeah, man.
So what advice would you have for the person watching this where they want to start posting and want to start building their personal brand, but they just don't know where to start?
Yeah, that's good. I like what you just said there too. You have to put your ego aside. The best way to put your ego aside on social media is by actually opening up your mouth. A static photo of you in front of a mansion means absolutely nothing. Anybody could do it. My 4-year-old son could do the same thing that you're doing. Means absolutely nothing and provides no value, and there is no talent. When you actually open up your mouth, you expose yourself to, hey, does Buddy or does she know what she's actually talking about? Yes or no? And so that's where you put your ego aside, right? That's number one. That's the key differentiator between people that are successful and not on social media is, are they dynamic? Can they speak? And when they communicate, do they sound like a dumbass, or do they actually have like a resume to support what it is they're saying? So that's the first thing I'll address. Now, the second thing I'll say is this: for the person who's looking to start at any part of social media, you know, people connect faster with the face and the voice than they do a logo. Right. So you need to understand that you got to talk and you got to communicate. You yourself are your brand. It's not a matter of where do I start. You already started when you opened up your eyes today and you got out of bed and how you operate. Right. That is the brand. Right. The story is the brand. Everybody wants to try to figure out, OK, I got to get to X, Y, and Z before I can start posting. People don't necessarily care about the results. They care about the thing that you just said earlier. They want to attach themselves to something that they can relate to. Everybody can attach themselves to struggle. Everybody can attach themselves to having to pick up the phone and dial and have call reluctance. Everybody can attach themselves to getting pissed off in traffic and wanting to put the middle finger up to the person that cut them off, right? But not a lot of people can attach themselves to buying a helicopter. Right, I'm trying to cast a net. So listen, what are your 4 verticals? Are you in the gym? Okay. Are you in the workplace? Okay. Where's your spirituality? Like whatever the case may be. Listen, I'm just posting that. And then I'm talking about what's happening. I'm not showing what's happening. I'm talking about what's happening. Then I'll do the thing. And then I'll talk about what just happened. That's where the value is. And now you start clicking with people.
Yeah. Your ability to influence is never going to surpass your level of personal development.
Yeah.
So that's why it all starts with personal development. Because one thing I love about social media is, in a way, in today's day and age, we're a lot better at filtering out BS than we were before.
Oh, man.
Because you can't, you might be able to BS on 1 or 2 posts, but if like you're consistently posting, like people figure out who you are pretty dang quick. Mm-hmm. By just holding your camera and talking into the freaking phone.
Yeah, man.
So when you're showing up every day, dude, that's why, honestly, I mean, you guys know this, and you guys are building the same thing. Like, dude, I built my entire business off of Instagram.
Beautiful.
Almost 99% of the people, almost every single person I've hired directly came from my social media. Mm-hmm. And you know what really got people and what attracted people? Bro, it wasn't the freaking McLaren or the house. No, it was me posting myself in the gym at 5 a.m. It was me posting a freaking, like, my salmon and rice on my story, or me in the office at 7 a.m. Or me leaving at 8 p.m. Or me posting, reading the Bible or putting Bible verses or prioritizing some sort of personal development or getting in the freaking cold plunge. Like this shit that, like, because I believe one of the highest compliments of a leader that you can give is consistency.
100%.
People just want to work with people that are consistent. So one, you can't beat me with the habits. That's one thing you can't beat me with, are the habits. Mm-hmm. So you see me every single day sticking to my inputs, sticking to my schedule, and prioritizing my personal development and continuing to stay consistent. And when people see that, they're naturally attracted to that.
100%. Another thing also is this: people will follow and watch and continue to watch a thing that they are fearful of doing or they cannot do. Why do you think a highlight of Adrian Peterson, everybody's just going to watch that over and over? Because there's a 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% that can even comprehend what Buddy's doing on the field, right? It's the same situation with a cold call. How many people are afraid to pick up the phone? Everybody. This thing right here, It gets heavy. Everybody's tapping. Oh yeah, she looks good. She looks good. She looks good. But when you got to type in a number, bro, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's 100 pounds. It's 200 pounds. Listen, when you show how to overcome an objection, when you show that, hey, I could call anybody up and keep them on the phone for 14 seconds. Listen, that's the thing that people will watch because they are fearful of doing it or they don't know how to do. So that's also something that you can start posting for the people that are looking to start. Yo, post the things that people are fearful of doing. Jumping in a cold plunge, eating salmon and rice every single day. Bro, I guarantee you everybody watches it and says, damn, how does this man do this every single day? I'm eating McDonald's. There he goes again. And I'm eating McDonald's. There he goes again. I'm eating McDonald's. Consistency. He's willing to do the things that I am fearful of doing. Therefore, I am going to follow him and I'm going to share it in my chat with all my boys. Boom. Now you got everybody.
Let's go.
Let's
go. That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
Blueprint simple. Question for you now. So we talked about what you learned. Now, what's one thing that you had to unlearn working for Grant? Start with you.
Wow. That's big.
As far as unlearn,
Either Sean's thinking I could say a lot right now,
Yeah.
or he's having trouble thinking of something.
I don't know about unlearning. I think unlearning my laziness.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
definitely that, because you watch certain people, social media is obviously way more progressed since then. Like, I thought I was a hard worker when I went in there, and I realized I wasn't even touching the surface. So the amount of energy that it takes to achieve a certain result that you think it takes, you need to increase that target by 10. If you want to achieve $1 million in your bank account, if you want to achieve a certain athletic aesthetic, or maybe you're training with your team, whether it's in sports or in business, a lot of people underestimate the effort it truly takes to really get something done. I used to think, I remember back in the day, I used to go door knocking. I used to work for a real estate investor. This is back when I was 21. And I would go door knock I would pull people that are going through foreclosure. He'd have me go door knock and offer to go buy their home. I'd do 20 doors on a Saturday, riding around, had them mapped out, and then I'd call it a day. And I thought I was working hard. And then throughout the week, I'd make a few calls here and there. When I got in that office, you were frowned upon if you weren't hitting 250 dials by 4:00. Now, we had an auto dialer. We didn't have a 3-line dialer, but we had an auto dialer. And people would come in and be like, oh man, how many dials we'd ask our clients, how many dials are you guys making a day? Oh, we tell them about 80 and then send some emails and follow up. And I'm thinking, we were making 80 dials from when we started dialing. I think at 9:30, we had the 9:05 meeting. 9:05, and
Crazy.
we'd start dialing. I mean, we could be at 100 dials literally by 11.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
And
Standards
it
are just
showed
different.
up on the board. So not just the output, but also the amount of attempts that it takes to get somebody to buy from you. So the unlearning was really just unlearning my old, and I've been blessed to be around some great mentors growing up. But I give you an example. I called this car dealer Mohawk Honda, and he called me back and he said, Sean, he goes, and I had no clue who it was. I had to pull it up on my CRM. He goes, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm like, well, I've been told that a couple times. He goes, do you realize how many voicemails you've left me? And I looked down at my CRM. He said it was like over 20. I left him 32 voicemails in like 60 days. And I'm like, listen, dude, I am I said, I apologize, because he came on strong. He goes, no, man, I wish my salespeople had that much tenacity. That was a $100,000 contract.
Let's go.
So
Let's go.
That was a realization. Even with the team we're working with now, a lot of times they think, oh, I'm going to hit a certain lead list 2 to 3 times. But you also have to understand who you're dealing with. Like, we were working with one of our agents, and it was going to be like a big policy. Policy gets stalled, and I told him, I'm like, look this guy up. The guy is like the top surgeon of one of the hospitals. And I told him, I was like, listen, business owners, they don't need to be pushed to make a decision. Like, if you're talking to somebody who's, more stay at home, but when you're on the phone with a business owner, or somebody at that stature, you need to follow up, but not just follow up and say, hey, are you ready to finish this policy? And one of the things we used to do to get in front of these business owners, like if I'm trying to sell Jonah a training package for Prosper, I'd find out your favorite football team, or I would go deep. I would like research the heck out of you, because I'm trying to call Jonah, but your gatekeepers are like, nope, he's not busy, sending me to your voicemail. So I'll find like football helmets, like the little floating football helmets, and I'd send it to him with a handwritten card, Sean from Grant Cardone, just trying to get my head in the door. And I would get calls. I got a call from the CEO of LA Fitness. That deal didn't close. CEO of LA Fitness. And he was like, bro, what are y'all on? This was incredible. So, I used to look at successful people prior to working there and say, oh, okay, cool. You're moving at a certain speed. But what I learned there was just operating at a completely different level. And I think it's just a completely different level of creativity.
Yeah.
If you're not being creative, you've given up.
Just the level of tenacity.
Exactly.
That it takes.
So, yeah, when I used to think I wasn't lazy, I got there. I'm like, man, I got to pick it up for sure. This guy, I thought I was one of the hardest working guys in there. Then he showed up. And that was a whole nother ball game.
I love it.
Oh man.
What would you say for you, Mike?
Yes, to unlearn. Okay. I'll follow up with Sean to say this. If there was anything I had to unlearn, it would be about money and how to operate with it, and what real people in the economy that run the economy, how they think with money. And I'm not talking about the $100 million guy. I'm talking about the $2 billion guy, the $3 billion guy, bro. They're thinking on a way, bro. They're thinking on a way another level. They have bigger problems, bigger issues, and how they think with assets, man. It's actually ridiculous, right? So to unlearn the value of money as it pertains to me in the state that I was in at that time and what was in the bank account at that time, and relearn what these juggernauts are actually doing with their money. And no one is ever exposed to that until you're next to it, man. And it's a sad thing. And if you have the ability to go work alongside a billionaire, stop whatever it is that you're doing right now. I do not care what you have in your bank account, and go work with them for a year. They will change the trajectory of your life. Guaranteed 110%. I don't care if you got $100 million in bank account. Go work alongside a billionaire for 2 months. They'll change the direction of where you're thinking, right? That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, and this is the piggyback off Sean, there isn't a lot of unlearning that's going on, because when you get into that ecosystem, you get into that environment, you realize you don't know shit. We learned 150 new things every single day. Not just in the sales process, but overall business, how to manage teams, how to talk with teams, how to control a team, the importance of numbers, the importance of meetings, different pillars of business. Oh, that was the New England Patriots of anything sales, anything business, anything marketing, anything real estate. And when you walk in and you think you're the man, and then you got customer service, or you got the shipping department outselling you on the phone, and they're only working 2 hours on the phone because they're also shipping out product, but they're incentivized to sell, and they're around that same environment that you just got into, and they can outsell you in a blink of an eye. You realize, bro, Let me just hey, wipe the table off. I'm gonna start from square one and just give me the data and let me apply it. So there's not a lot of unlearning. It's just that you realize that you weren't taught anything in life until you get into that. And again, if you have the ability to go work for a billionaire, bro, go work for a billionaire.
Love it. What made you guys decide to come in and build a massive life insurance business? And I'll preface with, you guys have not only a lot of business acumen, but Sean, before you got into this, you had a very successful beauty company, bro, that you and your wife built. What made you guys decide to build here?
Well, we were one of the biggest fish in a small pond. So you have the beauty industry, you scale that down, then we're in the permanent makeup industry. And number one, I started getting bored because we hit a cap. We're kind of figuring out, how do we scale? Do we go lease new salons? Do we franchise? But I always wanted to grow something to $100 million valuation. Now, obviously today, when you really learn this industry, it's way more than that. So for 2 years, the moment the inflation rate started ticking up, and this is after COVID, I think 2021, the moment, if you look at the data, the month the inflation rate started ticking up, I knew our industry was going to go through a massive recession, because we are not a service that is a necessity. Okay. My wife tattoos eyebrows and lips. We do laser tattoo removal. We had a team of 8 girls. We do classes, we do online training. But when you're in South Florida and all of a sudden the rent in Miami goes from $2,400 for a condo to $4,000, people are going to start deciding where they want to spend their money. It doesn't matter how good you are. And I warned all of my students. I said, listen, guys, the government money will run out. The day will come, and then I won't be able to help you anymore. I told my coaching students that all the time. I said, hey, here's how we're building, but there'll be a reckoning if you do not prepare. Don't go buy an extra motorcycle. Don't spend money on the BS products that aren't going to make you money. And sure enough, from there, as the industry started to tilt, I went out on a fact-finding mission, and I just wanted to talk to anybody in an executive role. I didn't want to Google about an industry. I didn't want to YouTube about it. I had heard about Medicare and life insurance. It wasn't presented to me right. But I would go on LinkedIn, find former employees. So let's say if you work for, let's say, a very large HVAC company, and I'd say, hey, Jonah, I'll pay you $200 an hour. You no longer work with the company, so you're not really under NDAs or anything. Like, let's talk numbers. Did that for HVAC, did that for solar. Matter of fact, there was a lady that I worked many hours with who was one of the head of operations for, I won't say the name, the largest solar installer in all of America, who's no longer around. Software. I mean, I looked at everything. The only problem was my wife and I knew we've built up this large base. We have 26,000 students. We've built up this network for 10 years. If we go somewhere else, we're starting over. Even here, we're starting over. But that network, I'm not going to sell them HVAC. I'm not going to sell them software. I did think about software. I thought about CRMs and all that, but nothing that excited me. And then that's when I came across Joe, reached out to him, and I said, hey, listen, if this is about just selling a $1,000 policy, I'm just going to stay where I'm at. I said, I'm only looking to grow something to where I can grow and sell at $100 million. And this is before Mike even knew, because I didn't even know he was licensed. But he messaged me back. He said, hey man, we're pretty much valued at that. And he said, I'd love to talk with you. And had a 30-minute call on Zoom, very brief. I walked out. I didn't even get into the numbers like we'll probably get into. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm afraid we found it. And I was afraid because I was like, we're going from beauty beauty, we always chase the trend. You have to chase the trend. All the products in Chanel, all the products that you walk into, if you take Claudia, you'll go in the mall, all of that stuff is stuff that's made overseas. And the only thing they do is repackage it. And it looks brand new. All the face creams, all of that. I mean, we used to have our own product lines as well. But for online training and products, I was constantly having to figure out a new trend to keep pushing sales. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Eventually, I ran out of creativity. So when I saw insurance, it's like, it's boring. Wasn't excited about that. It's like, is this what my life is coming to?
Life insurance.
Life insurance. And, however, it doesn't change.
And it's recession proof.
I would say recession resistant. I'm careful about recession proof. But I think that depends on the ability for an organization to push through a recession. So I think you have great opportunity. It is a necessity. Life insurance is a necessity, but having the right people to continue to push that message, because it doesn't take much for, I'll say, the guys out here who maybe are just now learning. They see some bad news on TV and say, all right, guys, we're in a recession. And then it just screws up their psyche. Like, oh, I'm not going to push a $150 policy as hard as I used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the biggest ticker for me, you know, I have 26,000 women all over the world. They're not all in America. I would say 80% America. And I told Joe when we sat down, I said, hey, tell me about the women that are winning big. And when I saw those women, I was like, this is the best thing ever, because I knew our industry was suffering. They don't want to put up money for a 5-year lease, take on that risk. Instead, they can now dial from home. They can read a script. They don't have to be a beat down Jordan Belfort salesperson. If they are, the policy is going to cancel anyway, most likely. But I was just baffled. We have salon owners right now that have already turned in the keys of their salon because they've already replaced their income in 6 months.
Let's go.
So
let's go.
That's what excites me.
That's exciting.
It's not even, because I told Joe, I said, listen, I want to build something to $100 million as long as I can take people with me.
Yeah.
Because that's the excitement. Right now, we're more excited when our agents change their lives financially. It's not like Mike and I, we've made good money. We'll probably wake up and start getting excited when it's 2 years from now, when we start looking at valuation. So I think that's the difference. Like we are so bought into our agent story. Like every agent has a story that is marketable, but that's one of the reasons. It's not even the money piece yet that we're excited about. We know we want to go for 300 million, but more importantly is like when I have a Carlos who's an immigrant from Venezuela, never made more than $1,500 in a month. He's making 30 grand a month. I have Carol, one of my students, who came to us in 2019 in a class that I lost 10 grand on. But I to that day, this was 2017. I said, no, actually, yeah, 2019. Most of our competitors would say, hey, we're losing 10 grand on the class. Let's just get a refund from the hotel that we're renting from. I said, no, we're going to meet some people in there that will be with us for a long time. And Carol did $24,000 last week.
Let's go. Huge.
That's what excites me. The more stories you create, the more money we will make, obviously. Like that will be a byproduct.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm all in. That's why I'm all in. And that was before Mike even realized. When I met with you guys, Mike didn't even know. We kind of been out of contact for a little bit. You know, he had a newborn and stuff, but that was an interesting story. But yeah, Mike reached out to me. I posted my Pearson View test, my mugshot. I won't say what I look like, but I look like I was homeless because I didn't know I was getting a picture. I literally finished my study, went the Saturday morning. They wouldn't let me wear my hat, so my hair was all messed up. I posted it, and I thought it was funny. I was literally jocking on myself, but and then Mike reached out. He said, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I passed my life insurance test." He goes, "Oh dude, I've had mine for like 6 months."
Let's go.
And
Let's
then
go. And it's
rest
funny.
is history.
I remember that first night we met and that was the first time you met Joe in person too. And we're at that dinner and I just remember the spark in your eye.
Yeah.
And dude, you didn't even eat your food just because you had so many
I
questions.
didn't eat anything.
And you just had so many questions. And then I remember not only that, but you had $100,000 check in your pocket that you were willing to write Joe for mentorship. And then Joe basically just said like, no, it's not how it works. Like, I'll mentor you for free. Like, you don't need to pay me. But like, that was your level. Like, that was how excited you were about what we have here and what you saw. What was it that you saw specifically?
Yeah, I think a lot of people. Not going to get emotional.
You can get emotional. It's okay.
I went through a dark time.
Yeah.
So for you guys listening, if you don't have direction, and I'm a new dad. Yeah. I felt like 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night. So emotionally drained, tired, I am searching. And it's like when you have your first son, Jonah, your world will change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It will change so much that every tiny decision, if you lose $50, let's say if you're out with the boys, you place a bet on a game, you lose $50, that will stare your son or your daughter will stare you in the face. It is just a completely different meaning. So little sleep, newborn, no direction, figuring out where to go with the business, like darkest time of my life. I wouldn't say some of the thoughts I had probably wasn't showing up on an MIB report. Obviously, I'm thankful to have been around the right mentors where I can manage my emotions. But when Joe came into my life, that was God. And I'm Christian. I am not the guy that's like, oh my God, there he is in the clouds. It's Joe coming into my life was a God thing. And I remember sitting down. A lot of people don't realize when you have somebody successful in the room. I don't even think if somebody's able to meet Jonah, he's making millions of dollars a year. He's like, if I were to meet Jonah, you have to realize who is in front of you. You have to appreciate that person. And I knew what I had. I had a 30-minute call with Joe. And before talking about numbers that we did at dinner, I walked out. My wife, I was in the spare bedroom. I walked out and I said, this is it. We found it. I said, I don't know. She's like, well, tell me about it. I'm like, I don't know. I said, this is it. I've got to go to Tampa. I think it was like 4 days later or something. And when I sat down with you guys at dinner, it wasn't just me excited to make money. It was me being excited for the first time in a long time to have a new vehicle to push, to be tired on. Because guys, we want to go out. We want to exhaust ourselves. We want to bring home the kill for our family and feel good and grow and help others. And we were up. We were at dinner for 5 hours, went to this office out in Tampa. Joe drove me to the hotel. He sat for the guy doesn't sleep. We sat for another 45 minutes in the valet talking. And Joe said this. He goes, I don't know what this is, but this is a God thing. And I believed it too. It was just weird. The next morning, I'm driving home and I'm depressed. I'm like, what's going? And my wife's like, well, why are you depressed? I'm like, because I realized we got to go sell life insurance. And I think my identity was in but the thing is, we have been building the beauty brand for 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's like let's say you're in a relationship or you're married and you realize it's no longer for you. It no longer serves you. And it's like, wow, that is my identity. Yeah. I have to let that go for something better.
Yeah.
And that was hard. Obviously, I saw the excitement on the other side. Life insurance is not boring. Like this, the test is boring. The sales side is fun.
We make it sexy.
We do. And it's fun. It's, I tell all the people we hire, I'm like, hey, listen, the test is very boring. You'll question if this is right for you. Just get to the other side. We'll show you the fun. But I did. I had, I was thinking, hey, I'm ready to go all in. And I didn't know what that meant. I literally had a blank check that I put in the car. But I told my wife, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't know what this is going to cost. We'll put it on our line of credit, whatever we got to do, just letting you know. And my wife, Lysandra, she was like, hey, write the thing. I don't care. Like, super supportive. She goes, I trust your judgment. If you think this is it, please go. Because she wanted more than anything for me to get back on track to something I was excited about. And yeah, man, when you have a CEO in the room, like Joe and like Jonah, I was just getting to know you, you have to show up. And what I mean by showing up is you show up early to the meeting. I showed up 30 minutes to the meeting because I didn't want any chance of being late. Like a lot of people, you have a chance for a job interview, you're showing up 5 to 10 minutes late, your hair's all over the place, and people are like, oh, traffic and this and that. No, I drove 4 hours to Tampa. I got there early. I made sure that nothing was going to get in the way of me meeting Joe, because I was like, there's something there. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Had a blank check in my pocket. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to take my family into the next hemisphere. Another thing that excited me is there was no bullshit at the table. I literally came with a whole list of questions. I didn't eat anything. It's funny, you guys were trying to like, hey, Sean, eat something. Y'all ordered how y'all are. You ordered the oysters and the apps and the burgers. I think I ordered something. By the end, they just took my food away.
Yeah. But
that was a good feeling. It's like when Michael tell me sometimes we're working, he's like, man, you haven't eaten all day. It's because, dude, we're having fun.
Yeah.
That's what this business has brought back.
Yeah. That spark.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love and respect about you guys is you guys just have a tenacious focus. Like you guys are going at this like a rabid dog in a good way.
Yeah.
And I love to see that. And that's a direct testament to why you guys are going to build something great. So let me ask you, Mike, what is your blueprint because you keep talking about want to build to 100 million. What's the blueprint for you guys to get there from where you are now to where you want to be?
I mean, look, everything that you do, it's great to build from where you're at to maybe 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. But the only way to have somewhat of control, and we can't predict the future, man, right? Unless we're the man above, we can't predict the future. But the only way to have some sort of control is to be able to reverse engineer it. And I think that's the environment that we came from. A lot of what we did there, a lot of what we had to do was reverse engineer to where am I currently at? What do the numbers look like? The personnel, the amount of sales, marketing spend, whatever the case may be, and where do I want to go? And okay, if I could do this at this stage, I do this within this month, I do this in 5 months, I do this in 10 months, I have a high probability of being at that 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. So what is the blueprint? Well, the blueprint is, first things first, lay a solid foundation, right? We are very, 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 very invested into our core. We need to understand this space from the in trenches level. So we have the ability to communicate with the people who are in the trenches right now while we are on this podcast, right? Yeah. The second stage is to be able to develop leaders. The only way that we can become where we want to be in this space is if we have strong leadership legs and or roles within the organization. Now, luckily, we have a pool of people we can pull from who aren't Joe Schmoes that just started insurance yesterday and have no ability to think big, right? We have people that we can put in place, and we're constantly recruiting who think like us, who operate with the strategy and mindset that this is a business, this is not a sales role. And if you operate as such, you can be highly profitable, have the opportunity to exit, and provide financial freedom for your families while also providing an ethical product, an ethical solution to the marketplace. So our next step right now is developing those leaders and dumping anything and everything back into marketing and advertising. We have not paid ourselves 1 cent. Everything goes back into the business. Everything goes back into systems and optimizing how people are operating in our organization. And then personnel, hiring the right people at the right stages, and then building leaders. Listen, there's break points in business. Luckily, one of my mentors, Brandon Dawson, he exited his last company at 77 times EBITDA, highest exit on a public traded company in the history of mankind, right? That's one of my mentors. I had the opportunity to work alongside him for about 2.5 to 3 years. What he taught businesses at a very high level are different break points within a business and what you need to focus on. 1 million to 3 million is the who. 3 million to 5 million is the who, but you optimize the who. Then it goes into the what. Then it goes into executive staff. Then it goes in, and we were exposed to that, man. We are exposed to it. So now it's just understanding where we're currently at, the break point that we are about to hit. And we already know the break points. We go over the numbers all the time, man. We are ridiculous about understanding where we're at, where we need to be in 3 months, where we need to be in 6 months so we can get to our yearly target. And so that's the blueprint. If I had the exact blueprint, shit, we'd already be there, Jonah, right? But we have the proper guidance, the wherewithal and understanding and exposure on people that have already done it before. And as long as we are taking in the information that we need to take in to get us there, and then we apply it right then and there, I don't see why we can't blow past 300 mil, because honestly, man, 500 mil to a bill excites me. I want a bill, a Billy killer, man. I want a bill.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I love it. When you bring somebody into the business, last question for you, and then we'll wrap up. When you bring somebody to the business within their first month, what are the determining factors that you know, like, oh, this person is going to be a stud. They're going to kill it here. They're going to do great. Or, this person isn't going to work out.
That's a good question. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go base out myself first. And when I first got in Cardone's ecosystem, now of course you get matured. You're not even able to close people for 3 or 4 or 5 months. You got to set appointments or whatever the case may be. But it took me 7.5 months at Grant Cardone's before I closed my first $32,850 sale. And it was with a company in Canada, and they did something with trees, right? I remember exactly what I was swearing. I know the belt I had on, the shoes, where I was standing, the whole 9 yards. So you think about that 7.5 months. Okay, so if the average person just looks at that and says, oh my God, it took 7.5 months. Now, there were factors in play where we couldn't do that for the first 4 and 5 months because we needed to mature. But if you just think about that 7.5 months, you would say, oh, buddy's going to be trash. Bro, I went to number 1. Right? So it's very hard to judge somebody in 90 days, unless you are him, right? On if they're going to be a savage or not. And if you think you can, you're a freaking idiot. You're an idiot. You're just dumb as hell, right? Now, with that being said, we tell all our folks when we are hiring and we are on a recruiting just frenzy that we're on right now, is we paint the good, the bad, and the ugly of what this opportunity truly entails and what is required from you. As long as we do what we need to do to optimize how people get into the system, they get into our training programs, they show up to the discourse, they start banging the phones, they start setting appointments, and we have that figured out, and we constantly just pour gas into making it better and better and better and better, and a person shows up every single day, right? It's physically impossible for them to get better. I can't dictate when people pop. We have a guy on our team that popped within the first day. Okay, he did like 8K the first week. Then we have guys and gals who maybe they are running a business, or they have a family, or all their attention units are not on that thing. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be successful. It means that they're on a different runway, man. So how can I tell in 90 days? Bro, I can't. And that's the beautiful thing. I'm going to put my ego aside and say, I can't tell in 90 days, and neither can you, and neither can him. But the thing that I can tell is this: if you have crazy work ethic and you show up every single day, it is physically impossible for you not to succeed in anything in life. And It doesn't have to be insurance.
I've never seen anybody truly try their best. They're showing up on time, putting in the work, hitting their inputs, where they don't succeed.
Yeah.
And ultimately what it comes down to is, I honestly disagree.
Okay,
I think you can tell in 90%. if somebody's going to be good.
Okay.
Because you're going to have those people like Colin Mother Souls or like guys that just aren't having success. But even like a Colin Mother Soul, bro, like I knew he was going to be a dog because he kept showing up.
Show up.
He kept showing up. So the determining factors is number one is what is your mindset? And so specifically not only your mindset, but your belief level. That's the number one determining factor if I know if somebody's going to make it in the business or not. Like I can look at somebody and to 90% agree, know that within their first week, just based on their mindset, I know if they're going to make it or not because of their belief level. Like if they're sitting there and they're like blaming the leads or this, or they got a negative, I'm like, this person ain't going to make it. But if they're coming in, I don't give a crap about their skill set. I don't care if they're a top closer or their first day in sales, but if they come in and they're locked in and they're hitting their inputs, they're tracking their numbers, like they're not afraid to ask for help. Like I ask them and like, they're like, you know, like I can tell they're paying attention. They're taking mental notes. They're paying attention to the trainings. They're showing up on time. Dude, that person, regardless of their experience, that person is going to be a dog. It's just based on what is your mindset, what is your belief level, and how badly do you want it? Because we can teach somebody how to become a killer salesperson. That's not a problem. We've done that to hundreds of people. Like we've given them the exact tools, scripts, resources. I don't care if you've done sales, haven't done sales, like we'll get you there, dog. But what we can't help you with and what we can't instill, your habits, your mindset, your work ethic. Like I can't take somebody that has a shitty work ethic and doesn't want it that bad. I can't just inject them with the grind, or I can't inject them with grit. It's like you either got grit or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't got grit, sorry, bro, there ain't nothing I can do to help you.
Grit is number one. I'll say this much. I've seen it the opposite in sports. So that's what I relate to. I've seen 5-star athletes absolutely go off the deep end. I see 1-star, 2-star athletes
Michael Jordan wasn't he wasn't the greatest. He wasn't the best, but he was the most tenacious.
And then you also got to think this, bro. If someone doesn't have grit, that doesn't mean they can't get grit. You got to understand it's all about the environment too. So listen, I've been around people that have been in shitty environments. They would come on board to a football team, okay? They have zero grit, zero tenacity within the first 90 days. With what you said, it would be that person doesn't ball. Then they're in the league in 5 years because you know why? They're around somebody that's faster, stronger, bigger. So it's all about what you're exposed to as far as how you operate. But bro, 90 days? Bro, only him.
Only him. Only him.
Only him.
Mike Schill?
Yes, sir.
Sean? Appreciate you guys hopping on.
Appreciate that, man.
Having us.